Welcome to Think Like a CEO. Today we're going to be talking about the brand as a business moat and how you can turn authority into market power and dominate your market. We want to help CEOs understand how to transform their brand into a strategic moat that drives pricing, that brings about power, that causes you to have inbound leads, team alignment, and long-term growth. So this episode is going to teach you how to establish authority and attract demand and turn your brand into a multiplier. Your brand is not your logo, it's your leverage. And in 2025, the CEOs who scale fastest aren't always the smartest or even the most funded. They're the most trusted, they're visible, and they're clearly positioned in the market. And so this is going to be a powerful episode. We'd love for you to hit the subscribe button. If you've not subscribed to our channel, we have great content coming your way to help you to dominate your market. And you can hit the share button if you know that this is going to be beneficial to someone else. Chats are open, so feel free to ask your questions and put it into the chat. And let me ask you, are you chasing clients instead of attracting them? Does your brand allow you to charge more, or do you constantly fight price objections? Can your team and customers repeat your value with clarity? Today, we're going to break down the Authority Brand Framework, which is 5 practical steps to elevate your positioning, to build trust at scale, and turn your voice into demand. And this is how you're going to turn your brand into a business moat. And so let's jump into the Authority Brand Framework. Now, the first thing, in order to establish this framework, we've got to understand, and I said this earlier, your brand is not your logo, it's your leverage. You need to evaluate what leverage you have in the market. Are you dominating in your market? How is the trust of your brand? And when people look at you, it's not just the logo and they know who you are, but they know what you stand for, they know your culture, they know the value that you bring. And so as we're establishing this culture, we've got to have these 5 steps. And step number 1 is you have to define your brand positioning. The most powerful brands don't compete. They own their category. Strong brands are clear, not clever. They own a specific place in the customer's mind. And so as CEOs, we've got to stop being generalists and start defining what we are known for. And so how do we do that? A few things, and we've heard some of these things, words before, but first of all, you have to establish your niche. And so when we talk about our niche, you've got to be specific. On who you serve. If you're trying to serve everyone, you're going to serve no one. And so we've got to be specific. We've got to niche down to the place where we know specifically who is our ideal client, and then everything else flows out of that. If your niche is too general, we just want to sell to everyone, you're again going to be selling to no one. So who is looking for you? Who are you able to serve at the highest level? Begin to create that niche in your business. Then you've got to have your promise. So when we talk about our promise, what is that? What transformation are you going to deliver? How are you going to make their life better? How is your product gonna help them? How is your services going to take the pressure off of them and help them to deliver? So depending on what industry you're in, what is the promise that you're wanting to make? So again, what is our niche? The specific people we're trying to serve or sell to. We could say it that way. Selling is serving. And then what's the transformation that we're going to deliver? And then we need to have the proof. So when we talk about proof, what does that speak of? Why should we believe you? And this has to do with your testimonials. Because people are asking, why should I believe you? Why should I buy this product? Why should I invest in this service? And so what is your proof? You've got to have your testimonials. And if you're just starting out, Maybe you don't have them yet, but you can get testimonials about you as a CEO, as an entrepreneur. But if you've been running business for a while, get the testimonials, get reviews, and how people have been impacted by your services, your product, and then establish your personality. So we're talking about personality. What makes you relatable and distinct? What makes you different than everyone else? Okay, that's our personality. Everyone has a persona. How is your business, how is your company different than everyone else in the competitors that are in your market, okay? And so there's a great examples of companies that have done this. The company Drift, they position themselves as the creator of conversational marketing. And they established themselves in that. Gong, they own the revenue intelligence space, not just call recording. And so we need to establish ourselves and come to the place where we ask ourselves as we're working on this, and you can kind of fill this in, but this is what we kind of do with our clients. And if you fill in the blanks, we are the only, you fill in the blank, we are the only X that helps Y get Z without what obstacle are they facing? So as you're establishing this culture, we are the only vendor or business or supplier or market industry leader that helps. Who's your ideal client? Again, who is your niche, and what are you helping them to get? What is your promise without what's the obstacle? And so if you can't clearly answer that, then neither can your customer. And so we've got to understand that we've got to make this very clear. What is the thing that you are delivering, okay? You are the only what? We are the only market leader, or we are the only service provider, we're the only realtor, or we're the, and basically the help. What are you helping to do in real estate? We are the leading real estate team that helps sellers get the highest amount of money for the sale of their home without the stress. That appeals to people. Who are you targeting? And maybe a luxury market. We're the luxury realtors team. We're the, and filling in the blanks. So it's not rocket science, but sometimes it's just not clear. When you look at people's websites, you look at their culture and what they're putting out there, their social media, they can't define that. If you can't answer that again, your customer's not gonna be able to answer it. So we have a great tool for you. You can take our free online business growth assessment to see where your brand is positioned to lead, or whether you're just blending in, and you can find that there in the descriptions. And it's a great tool that's available for you. So again, define your brand positioning. If you want to dominate in your market, what is your niche? Be specific. Promise. What's the transformation you're going to deliver? Proof. What are the testimonials, or why should people believe you? And then establish that personality. How are you relatable and distinct? Again, a great call to action to do is just to fill this in. We are the only blank that helps Y get Z without the obstacles. And what is the obstacles that they're facing? That's going to resonate with your potential client. And so, again, you got to define your brand positioning. And then number 2, you've got to build a founder authority platform. Build a founder authority platform. Someone said this: people buy from people they trust. Your personal voice is the trust bridge between your company and the market. Modern buyers want founder access. They want authenticity and they want insight. So you don't need to be an influencer, a social media influencer. You need to be a trusted voice. Okay, so what can we do to establish this? We need to have authority assets. So establish some authority assets. What can you do? Weekly posts. Using social media, using YouTube, using LinkedIn. If you're good at video and you're able to do that, YouTube is a powerful platform, and that's what we're doing right now. But you have weekly insights posts that are going to establish concerning what your things are as a agency. We help businesses, we help small businesses, medium-sized businesses to scale, to go from 6 figures to 7 figures. And so what are we doing today? What I'm doing today is establishing authority in the content and the training we have and the knowledge we have to give you a little taste of that, so that you can begin to interact and then get exposed, and we can serve you at a high level and help you to scale and create what it is you're dreaming of. Then we want to help you to do that. So again, establish weekly posts. You can do that blogs. You can do different platforms that are there depending on what you're passionate about. Another great thing to do is a podcast, and we create podcasts for our clients all the time. Is have a podcast where what you share frameworks to help people, or you can interview clients that have been impacted and have testimonials of how your product, your services have impacted them. You can have long-term form articles. So writing articles, if that's your thing, CEO letters to your database to let people know what you're doing, create value-driven emails. So pick one. If you're not doing anything, if you're doing one, expand into different markets, because different people are going to be on different platforms, and depending on what your niche is, who your ideal client is, that will determine many times what is the platform that you want to be on. And so these are just a few things you could add to the list, but the main things that are available out there. So Layla Hermosi, she teaches business strategy by documenting their $100 million journey. And so that's a great thing to connect with her, to create her as an expert, because you can go in and see the strategy and what she's doing and documenting how she's built a business to $100 million, which we would all love to have, all right? Another great example, Simon Sinek. He turned his why philosophy into a global influence. And so the goal isn't to go viral. The goal is to become the undeniable, trusted source in your lane. So you want to become the trusted source. And it doesn't mean you have to be the only one, but people that are coming connect with you as you're connecting with your ideal clients, as they're seeing your marketing, your ads, is checking you out, which most people do now that we have the internet society. You can check anybody out, stalk them on Facebook, on Instagram, on their website, and see what's happening. So it's very important for us to understand that, and we need to create this CEO framework. And so, what is the framework for us as CEOs? Give you this diagram. I think it will help you a little bit. As we're creating a CEO framework, what is your voice? You got to establish your voice as an expert. Then you've got to have visibility. You could be an expert, but nobody sees you. Nobody knows you. You're not out there. You got to become visible. All right. So do you have your voice? Where's your visibility? If you're not, you can be the greatest, have the greatest product out there. You have the greatest services. You have the greatest knowledge out there, but nobody knows you exist. You're not going to succeed. All right. And then as you have the visibility, you've got to establish trust. How do you do that? By doing some of the things we just talked about. And then what happens? Then you're going to have inbound inquiries, because people are looking for the experts. So what can you do? Subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification button so you can get notified of the great materials that we are giving to you. Use this as an example of some of the things that you can create yourself to have an impact of people, and share this episode with a fellow CEO who needs to hear it. So what have we learned so far? If we want to establish ourselves as an expert, we've got to begin to, first of all, define your brand positioning, and secondly, then build a founder authority platform. How do you do that? Create authority assets to help you. Weekly posts, podcasts, articles, the list goes on, and create a CEO framework that shows your voice. Do you have a voice? What's the visibility? How can you increase your visibility? How can you build trust? And then you're going to have inbound clients coming in. Now, founder visibility is very important. Where do you show up? And so it's important to be involved in social media, podcasts, blogs, your website. So these are a few that you can start beginning to create in social media, and I include YouTube in that. What can you do? If you don't have everything, start somewhere with what you are good at. And again, we'd love to help you to do that. But if you contact us, and the information's there in the descriptions. Then we move on to number 3. What must you do then? You must codify and scale your brand messaging. Codify and scale your brand messaging. What does that mean? If your team can't repeat your message, your market won't either. It's got to be simple. If your team can't even describe what your message is, they just know what job they do, but they don't know the message, they don't know the mission of your company, then the market's not going to know it either. So it's important to understand consistency is what builds memory, and memory drives trust. Consistency builds memory. Excuse my writing there. All right. It's consistency builds memory, and memory drives trust. So the key here, you've got to have consistency. Be consistent in your messaging so that you can build trust with your ideal clients, with your current clients. All right. So many CEOs, they change their messaging about every 3 months. But what does that do? That creates confusion. So build a brand messaging guide. And so what do we need to do? Have a tagline. Let's talk about this, the brand messaging guide. Create a tagline. We know Nike has a great tagline. I always refer to them. Just do it. They're known all around the world. Disney, the happiest place on earth. What is your tagline for your business that's catchy, that's memorable, that describes your culture? Create that. Then what is your unique value proposition? What is your unique value proposition? Okay. What makes you unique? Not just what you do that everyone else is doing, but what makes you unique? What's the quality of your product? What's the quality of your service? What's the value that you're going to add? And then again, what are your top 3 proof points? If you're in the health and beauty arena, it could be research, it could be FDA approval, all those kind of things, client testimonials. But what is the proof? The pudding is in the proof, is what someone said before. So you got to create the proof. What are your proof points, again, to add that trust? And then what's your brand tone? What do I mean by the tone? The way that you talk, your messaging, and your word bank. What is your brand tone and what is your word bank? When we talk about word bank, what are the words, the key phrases to describe your business? Okay? That comes out in your culture, that's constantly there in your messaging, and then create an internal rollout and training. Again, if your staff, if the people that are in your business, they don't know your messaging, your market is not going to know it either. So create a tagline. What's your unique value proposition? What's the top 3 proof points? What's your brand tone and your word bank? And how can you create an internal rollout training? This is gonna help you to establish that culture. And again, for those that are just tuning on, you're just popping in, we are talking today about how we can begin to dominate our market and begin to establish the 5 areas to cause us to be an authority brand, all right? And so we looked at number 1. Again, we have to define our brand positioning. Number 2, we've got to build a founder authority platform. If you're just jumping in, you can go back and watch this again later, okay, where you're showing up with your visible. And then we need to thirdly codify and scale our messaging by creating a brand messaging guide, creating our tagline, our unique value proposition, the top 3 proof points that we have, our brand tone, and having a word bank that describes who we are, and creating an internal rollout or training for our staff. So have the same messaging. What's the key? Same messaging, different format. So creating different formats to keep having the same messaging. Don't change your messaging. And sometimes we haven't given things long enough to take root, and we're constantly changing. Many businesses, every 3 months, they're coming out with something different. It causes brand confusion, and that's not gonna help you to dominate your market. Some great examples, Apple, they have consistent messaging of simplicity, beauty, and control, from keynote to product box. Nike, I love talking about Nike a lot. The brand, high performance and personal drive and style. It's in every ad, every tweet, every store. So as a CEO, audit your last 10 posts, audit your website, and look at your sales deck. If the messaging is inconsistent, you're leaking trust. We would love to help you with this. Again, you can book a free brand consultation call with us here at Pure Media with our brand consultants, and we review your messaging strategy to strengthen it for scale. And so do that, and when you do that, we can help you and get an expert to come in and help you. And sometimes it's great to get a third party to do that. All right, let's move on to number 4. As we're establishing our brand domination there, our brand to be a leading brand, we have to create content that converts trust. And we've been talking about this. We want to create content that converts trust because when you do that and people trust you, trust converts leads, all right? So we've got to get people to trust us, or our leads are not, they're going to move on to someone else. Content isn't just marketing, it's pre-sales. It builds trust before the first call. So you don't need a massive audience. You need the right audience consuming the right content at the right time. So the right audience with the right content at the right time. When you have these 3 things, you're going to build trust, and you're going to be able to leverage your leads and turn them into sales, turn them into clients. Again, it's not about a massive audience, but it's the right audience, consuming the right content at the right time. So what do we need to do? How can we create a content engine? How can we create that content engine? create a content engine. How can we create that content engine? First of all, through education. What must we do? Teach your unique frameworks and your market insights. Teach your framework and market insights. Leverage your insights, lever the value you have. And then again, we've been talking about this a lot. What's the proof? What's the proof? Share your wins. Share how you've impacted people or what their feedback was on your products or your services. Give screenshots to give people insights on how you run things and what's your culture like. Testimonials. Your metrics, monitoring your metrics. We did an episode about this, I think a few months ago. You can go check that out. How to establish the right metrics as a CEO. So again, how are we educating the market, our staff, the whole culture? What's the proof that we have, and beginning to show the proof, and then creating our POVs. Okay. Which what is this? This was what's our voice, our opinions. Okay, and getting that messaging out there. What's the values that we share? Our culture. All right, so communicating these again with our staff is important internally, because if they don't have it, the market's not going to have it, but especially in the market, staying on point with that. A great example of that, and I recently just bought a mattress from them, Sauce, C-A-A-S, I think it's how you pronounce it, Sauce. The founder posts this, and he says, here's how we reduce churn by 21% and how you can copy it, all right? And so basically putting that messaging out there. A coach shares 3 things that our client did to go from 50,000 to 200,000 MRR in 90 days. What is that? It's the proof of your product. It's showing the value you have to help people to become financially independent. So teach what you know and document what you do. Teach what you know and document what you do. This is a winning strategy to help you. So as a CEO, batch your content. 1 insight, maybe 5 assets towards video, carousels, email, story, reels, and begin to get it out there and begin to create that content engine where you're educating, you're bringing the proof and keeping to your voice, your opinions, your values, your culture. As you begin to do that, you're creating content that's going to build trust. And when you have trust, it's going to convert. Trust converts leads. The right audience, the right content, at the right time. And so take our free online business growth assessment. It's online there in the description. This is going to help you to pinpoint your content to demand gaps and how you can fill those gaps. And we'd love to help you to fill those gaps. All right, let's move on to number 5. We want to then now leverage our authority into inbound demand. So inbound is cheaper, faster, and higher converting when your brand now is doing the heavy lifting for you. Once your brand is trusted, it's visible, it becomes a lead engine. This is how you can scale without burning out your sales team. So let's talk about some inbound levers. The first inbound lever is SEO. SEO-driven content. And so people say SEO is dead. It's not dead. Google, all the main search engines, people are looking for services. They're looking for products that can help them. And so be SEO-driven. If you need help when doing that, contact us. We can assist you with that. But again, create SEO-driven resources and content. What are people searching for? They're out there looking for you. How can you get in front of them? Another great thing to do is guest appearances. Getting other experts in and beginning to leverage. This is more for those that have podcasts where what are you doing? You're now doing PR, excuse me, and leveraging spheres of influence. Again, don't do this with a competitor, but do with someone that has a complementary business product arena that can complement you, and people are willing to do that and share. That's huge right now in the market. Looking at strategic collaborations. We talk about this. We have our new business a course that we're going to be releasing in the month of June. You can write to us if you want more information on that, but we're going to have an online course that's going to help people to help and basically start, more for small businesses to scale themselves, the business accelerator. It's going to be powerful. So again, have strategic collaborations. How can you collaborate with people that have aligned audiences that can help you? Okay. And then finally, have automated lead funnels. I love it. Someone said, how can you make money while you're sleeping? Through automated lead funnels. Even when your office is closed, even when your sales staff are not on duty, you can have an automated lead funnel. It's huge in the market right now that helps to bring in valuable offers, helps to convert clients that are looking through you through that lead funnel. And there's AI and different things that you can do. Again, if you need help with that, reach out to us and we can help you to do that. A great example is HubSpot. 70% of their leads come from the content, not ads. That's amazing. What if it was coming organically through our content? And that's a long-term strategy. We're not against ads, but if you can create enough organic content, people are looking for you, it's going to create that funnel of people coming in, of inbound leveragers. ClickFunnels, they built Russell Brunson's brand, and then they created a tribe of inbound evangelists that are out there using these funnels and converting all across different industries. So authority brands don't have to chase leads, they attract opportunities. They don't chase leads. They attract opportunities. As a CEO, that should resonate. That's what we want to eventually create is an authority brand. We're not always chasing after leads and our business is up and down, but now we have opportunities that are being attracted to us by the things that we've created, by the content we have out there. So again, we want to invite you to subscribe to our channel for weekly breakdowns of how you can lead like a modern CEO and scale your authority. Hit the subscribe button. Again, share this with somebody so that they can be impacted and also grow and learn from this. Now I want to give you some different tools to begin to help you. And so as we talk about being the leader, we need to begin to have a map that's going to help us. And so when we talk about this, what can we begin to do? We have the authority ladder. And so what is the authority ladder? We need to create a ladder that creates, that begins to brand us as the authority. So what do you have? First of all, you have a stranger or someone who's not familiar of you. And then through your content, through the things that we're talking about, they become aware of who you are. They're seeing more of your stuff. They're getting exposed to who you are. And then now you establish trust, and then they want to buy. All right? So they want to engage us. And so it's important for us. We start as strangers, but what are we doing to create that authority, to climb the authority ladder, where now we're not just a stranger, but they're aware of us. As they continue to connect with us, then we build trust with them, and they're willing to buy. We want to jump right to the buying, but we've got to establish, again, the awareness and the trust. Another great tool that we can use is what I call the founder brand flywheel. Okay, the founder brand flywheel. I'm going to put this up here. You can see a little bit more, which is what we need to, again, establish our voice. As a CEO, you need to have a voice. And again, as people start hearing your voice, we talked about this, you begin to create visibility. Then you begin to create trust. And then again, after they trust us, we can now leverage that trust so that they buy from us, transact from us, join our course, or whatever it is that we're wanting to do out there. So it's important for us to understand. Great tool there. And then we have the brand messaging grid. The brand messaging grid. And when we talk about this grid, what are we talking about? It's basically getting our messaging out there clearly. We talked about this. You got to have a tagline. What is your tagline? Okay, what's your USP? What is your proof points? And then we begin to, as we have that proof point, create our language map. So these are some tools to greatly, introduce to your staff, introduce to your team, to make it very clear, to evaluate where's your health in those things. Then we have what we call our content engine breakdown, where we need to begin to look at the content that we are, where are we rate yourself on these few things. First of all, as you ask yourself, how are you doing in education? Are you educating your consumer? Are you educating, the potential client that you have on what you do, the quality of what you do? Again, presenting them the proof. We talked about that. Testimonials. How are you doing at supporting what you do and what you're good at? And then your POV, all right? So again, establishing that culture. Where's your proof? Education. How is this in your team? How is this messaging coming towards the potential clients and the consumers that you have? Then another great tool we have is called the inbound demand loop. All right, so I'm giving you some of the secret sauce today and things that you can use to evaluate your business. And so as we're looking at our business, begin to ask ourselves, where are we at in our brand? How is our branding? So many people, they just get a logo. Again, your brand is not your logo. Your brand needs to be your messaging. It goes much more deeper than just your logo, your messaging, colors, fonts, the tone of voice that you have in order to accomplish your mission. And so the brand then creates our content. If we have bad branding, we're gonna have bad content. As we have good branding, good content, then what are we gonna do? We're gonna establish trust. Bad branding, bad content, people aren't going to trust you, and then you're not going to have traffic. But if you have good branding, it's on point, it's clear, you have great content, you establish yourself as an authority, you're adding value to people, they're going to trust you, you're going to start seeing traffic, and then what's going to happen? We're going to have sales. We all want the sales, all right? But we've got to create, again, the inbound demand loop where people are coming in, our brand is on point, our content is on point, they now trust us, we're creating traffic, and then now we have sales, all right? And we're seeing money coming into the bank. So I hope this has impacted you today. Authority brands don't compete on price. Again, they lead categories. And so let's just go back and review a little bit. If you're jumping in and you missed out on the training, again, you can go back to watch this again. Your brand isn't just your logo, it is your leverage. We need to learn how to leverage and create the authority brand framework. We've been talking about this today. First of all, define your brand positioning, your niche, your promise, the proof, the personality that you have, and how are you communicating that to your clients? And then build a founder authority platform. Weekly posts, podcasts, articles, getting content out there so that you have your voice, your visibility, you're creating trust, and now you have inbound leads coming in. Then we move to number 3. We've got to then codify and scale our messaging, have consistency, building memory, and memory will now drive trust to us. Create your tagline, your unique value proposition, top 3 proof points, your brand tone and word bank, create an internal rollout and training. Same messaging, but different format, but you're establishing trust. And then number 4, create content that converts. Trust converts leads, right audience, the right content, and the right time. Create that content engine through your education, through the proof, through your POV. Again, and teach what you know and document what you do. And then finally, number 5, we become to the place where we can leverage the authority into inbound demand by using inbound levers, SEO, guest appearances, strategic collaboration, automatic lead funnels, and become the authority. Authority brands don't chase leads, they attract opportunities. And so we looked at some different tools that we can have here: the authority ladder, the founder brand flywheel, the brand messaging grid. These are all great tools. Again, go back and look at it. And then create your content engine, break down your education, your proof, your POV. A lot of information. Again, you can go back and watch this again. Again, if you need help, reach out to us. We'd love to help you to do this. We do this all day, all the time, and we have great brand consultants and that are there to help you. Again, in the description, you can find out more information on how to do that. Your personal voice is not optional. It's your strategic multiplier. Content isn't just for visibility, it's for trust, and it's for pre-sales leverage. So again, take the free brand audit that we have and clarify your position. Choose one platform to start beginning showing up. What are some things that you can do today? All right? Take the free brand audit. Thinking faster than I'm writing. All right, take the free brand audit. Second thing that you can do is choose one platform to start. To start or expand. Right? Different people on different platforms. So choose one and then create or refine your brand messaging grid. Sometimes you need to do a rebranding. Maybe your branding was done and it's off point. It's no longer relevant. It's important to do that. So create or refine your brand messaging grid and then roll it out across all the assets. And so there's some questions that we've got concerning this topics. So I want to just kind of answer them as we close out today. Again, you can put your questions in the chat if you want to. We'll try to get to them also. Someone asked, how do I grow a personal brand without being a full-time influencer? Once you do, you've got to focus on what I call thought leadership, not just looking at the trend. Start publishing once a week, your value, not just fluff. You don't need to go viral, again, I said, but you need to be visible in the right people at the right time with the right content. So start creating that brand. You can start doing it. And you don't need to be a full-time influencer just posting content 5 times a day, but put quality out there, add value, not fluff, and you will see it expand. Now, it takes years. It's not really instant. You don't go viral instantly, but keep doing it. There's companies, that talk and share their influencers, and, it took them 3 years. It took them 5 years, and that can seem like a long time, but time flies. But keep adding value, and all of a sudden, you're going to connect with your audience. The algorithm's going to pick you up, and you're going to start seeing the benefits of it. Someone asked, what if our industry is boring? Perfect. Boring industries are gold mines because authority is much easier to build when your competitors are invisible or forgettable. So in that industry, if you're in the industry, I don't want to name industries and you think I'm calling you boring, but maybe you're in a clinical industry where it's not so exciting, it's not so creative, it's more dealing with stats and things like that. That's a gold mine. Begin to establish authority. Again, create yourself as an expert. We do, we do podcasts and things for doctors and counselors and things like that to help them to get out to kind of take away the stigma of treatment and things like that, and begin to become the persona and bring education to help break down the stigma. So even in a boring industry, you can do that. Someone asked, how do I know if my brand is working? Again, you've got to measure it. Measure your brand, look at the statistics, and see where they're at. Ask yourself, are you getting referrals? If your brand is doing well, you should be getting referrals. Business should be coming in through referrals. You start seeing shorter sales cycles. You should start, excuse me, I just got a bug in my throat. You should start seeing higher pricing acceptance, all right? Someone asked, should I be the face or build around a team? And I would say this, start with both. Start with you as the persona. People want to see you, but then also build a team. And so both are very important. People are looking to know you as a CEO, as a decision maker, and then they're also wanting to see your team and what you're trying to do. So in 2025, your brand is no longer just how you look, it's how you lead. It's your moat, as I call it. It's your multiplier. It's your messaging to the world. So start building it with strategy, lead with boldness, and scale with authority. We'll see you in the next episode.